And that is critically important to what I'm doing here and our approach to India. I will say, though, and it's important that I keep and others keep saying this, is that NAFTA is a tremendous economic asset for Canada, because what NAFTA does is it makes Canada an entree to a market not just of 31.6 million Canadians. It makes it an entree into a North American market of 410 million North Americans. And that is why it has been so important for Canada, which is a geographically huge country with a very small population. We absolutely have to connect ourselves to larger markets that give us the opportunities to build competitive supply chains. But now the Government of Canada is developing new approaches to where we have to go on trade policy. We're looking at new destinations, and I can tell you that the Government of Canada has committed and will remain committed to developing India as a top priority in terms of Canada's trade and investment relationships going forward. While the relationship has underperformed over the last number of years, we are now starting to see some significant early stages of momentum building, and many of you will know that exports have been starting to ramp up. They're still nowhere near the levels that they could be and should be, and we are now seeing some significant international investment plays between Canada and India. Ironically, it's Indian investment that looks like it's coming to Canada more than Canadian investment coming into India, but we're going to fix that. As Canada launches its new approach to trade and competitiveness, we have developed a strategy that's under the aegis of the Minister of Finance called Advantage Canada. I won't go into detail. Advantage Canada is all about a combination of policy and other tax and fiscal initiatives to strengthen Canada's competitive position in the world economy. Part of Advantage Canada, though, is what we call a global commerce strategy, and that comes under my jurisdiction. And what we are doing in terms of a global commerce strategy is essentially to recognize, I don't want to give too much credit to Tom Friedman, but the world is genuinely flat in the Friedmanian sense, and our approach to trade is basically embracing the fact that trade and international investment today is all about building global supply chains, building global value networks, and connecting your business communities, whether they're small companies, medium-sized companies, or large corporations, connecting them to global value chains in a strong and durable way. And so I think of our global commerce strategy really driving three broad kinds of initiatives. The first one is what I call trade and investment framework initiatives. So under global commerce, we are beginning now to aggressively look at trade policy options, for example. Where do we go with the World Trade Organization, and how do we ensure that the WTO Doha round is a successful catalyst for facilitating global trade? And for Canada, WTO is critically important because it is the great leveler of the playing field out there. You don't have to be a geopolitical giant to be treated reasonably under the WTO framework. It's important for small countries like Canada. So we'll be continuing in that area, but we'll also look at bilateral and regional initiatives, whether it's free trade agreements bilaterally or other kinds of trade framework initiatives such as foreign investment promotion and protection initiatives, air bilaterals, science and technology cooperation agreements, and a variety of other cooperative framework initiatives. So that's the first element of our global commerce strategy. The second one is really to drive more resources more effectively in trade and investment development and promotion. And there we are committing additional budgetary resources permanently to expansion of our trade presence. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but essentially to take a more focused, more strategic, more disciplined approach to putting feet on the ground and expertise out in the field in particular to build our trade relationships. And thirdly, we are looking very carefully and aggressively at how we as government move to incent and support the creation of global value creation initiatives. Value creation, as you know, is always in the end driven by the private sector, but government can play a role. And we are, as part of our global commerce strategy, we are defining a role where government can work with the private sector in a collaborative way to ensure that we are in fact creating those permanent wealth creation mechanisms that are going to be critical to our economic success going forward. I want to emphasize that the global commerce strategy is not, it's not mercantilism. We're not just there to go out and try and sell more Canadian goods and services. That's an element. It will always be an element, but it is not it's not the fundamental focus of our strategy. The fundamental focus, as I said, is to work in partnership to help to create collaborations, to create investments flowing both ways, to create connections between Canadian business and global value creation chains and networks.